Coach, watching this Rice defense, I mean, they get after it. They're all over the place. What's impressed you looking at how this defense plays?
Well, first of all, statistically, they only give up 25 points a game, and that's with an offense that has struggled. So it's even harder to play defense if your offense is struggling a little bit. Um, so they're good. I mean, they fly around. They're when you watch our league, I hadn't seen anybody that I think is playing better defense than they are. They're physical. They fly to the ball. They got some big kids inside. Um, they're disciplined and smart. I mean, they're very stingy now. When I watch the UConn game, and UConn struggled mightily to move the ball. Tulane struggled mightily to move the ball, and you can go on and on and on. Army moved the ball and got some points, but it was tough sledding on that film. It's a great challenge. I think it's a very good defense, no question.
We've talked this season about you and looking for how this team's going to react to adversity. Back on the practice field, what have you seen from your offense?
Well, yesterday was more of a, we go out in basically pajamas and, but they're good. They're good. We gotta bounce back. Obviously, it was disappointing because it'd been nice to have seen what could have happened if we would have played a clean game. If we could have hung with those guys or not. Because there were times where we did some really good things. But you can't wallow in that. You got to learn from the mistakes and, whatever everybody wants to analyze why all of a sudden, you didn't have any turnovers for 5 straight weeks. And, then all of a sudden you have a rash of them. And, I don't know, we got to take care of the ball better. Maybe we need a few more reps on a few of those things, and we just got to settle down and play within ourselves, so we need to get back on that train of not beating ourselves. Go play a really good deal. This is going to be a great challenge for us to see if we can bounce back and really play well and move the ball against a team who's not had many people do it to them.
How do you like how the offensive line's coming into this game against Rice?
They're doing good. I mean, we got some movement up front Saturday, in some places. They're doing good. They made some mistakes. I mean, that game, there were mistakes in a lot of places. But I thought it's very apparent when we do what we're supposed to do, right, that we have success. So we watched the film yesterday, and learn from those things, and then let's be better, and I expect our offensive line to play really good Saturday, and they're going to be challenged because this is a physical front. But I expect them to go play really good.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
Joe Miller.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask about, one question about the Notre Dame game. As far as we've talked about it a little bit this season, guys getting up to speed, but both Nathan Kent and Luke had a catch in the game. How have you seen I know early in the season you were talking about Luke getting in more reps and everything. How has their progression come as the season has come along?
Really good. I mean, I think Nathan Kent's playing with a lot of confidence. We got to find more ways to get him the ball. I really think that. He did some things. He ran by some people Saturday. We just barely missed him on a deep throw there one time. But I think those guys are playing with a lot of confidence. It's good to see. Luke is young and very athletic, and so every time he gets an opportunity, he grows. So we're pleased with their progress. And then, of course, Regis is, just a kid that comes in there and is tough and he makes good catches and just brings a lot of leadership out there. So they all have a role and they all can bring different things to the table. And they all, I think they're all playing about the right amount too, that you can keep them fresh, get each one of them in there in different situations and allow the young guy to get, a few reps here and there just so he can grow.
I know turnovers can sometimes, just be, lucky and weird things can happen. So psychologically, do you even have the conversation of we got to protect the ball better? Is that just something like announcers and people around the game talk about?
I mean, we harp on it so much daily that message won't change. It's not going to be like all of a sudden we're going to start, harping on. That's something that is worked on daily. And what was really, interesting was a couple of those things were just, I think kids were trying to do something before they had the ball, right? It wasn't Notre Dame that was causing the turnovers, and so that it was just us maybe getting a little ahead of ourselves, or we had the fumbled mesh there when we ran midline one time, and we had a really good play, and it's one of them things where two very experienced players who've run a ton of option football in their careers, just a little mix up, and that you always worry about that when you're running some triple and doing some things, but I have no reason to believe that we're going to turn the ball over this Saturday. We're going to work on it. We're going to harp on it, but we're not going to. I don't want us to also be so. I think sometimes you get so afraid of doing something that you do it. So we're gonna continue to harp on it, continue to do our drills, continue to talk about making good decisions. And I don't have any reason to believe we can't get that problem fixed.
Scott touched on this a little bit, but I wanted to follow up on watching last night the UConn Rice game a little bit. They are incredibly aggressive. I mean, they came after UConn's quarterback a ton in that contest. And I was going to say, I guess one way, to look at them, they've been very aggressive. Would you say they're one? And I know it's kind of a general term, being aggressive, but would you say they're one of the more aggressive teams as far as bringing blitzes and doing a lot of different things from that perspective?
Yes, they are. They're very multiple. They bring a lot of different things. They disguise it well, and so now normally when people play us, it settles some of that down a little bit. But they're going to be who they are. That's their nature. That's what's made them successful. So I think we can count on them, attacking us. And bottom line is we got to have great fundamentals, and we got to have the right reads, and get the right leverage, put our hands in tight, and because when you're aggressive, it also leaves you vulnerable in certain areas too. So got to execute. So that's obviously going to be a great challenge, but that's who they are. I expect them to be that way.
Thanks, Coach.
Flags.
Sorry, I had trouble getting off mute. Coach, you punted on 6 of your last 7 possessions after the first quarter against Charlotte, and then, the 4 turnovers and some other mistakes that killed drives against Notre Dame. Are you concerned?
I'm always concerned. We need to play better. Okay, we need to play better, and we expect, and I personally expect to score a lot of points every time we go out there. So I think our players do too. So we always want to play better, but we certainly the last game we could not get out of our own way. We just couldn't do it, and for whatever reason. So I mean, we got to get our mojo back a little bit, I guess. Maybe that's the right way to say it. But you do that by just going out and fundamentally executing and getting going. I don't think there's a confidence issue. I think there's a lot of disappointed young men because they know that we missed opportunities. So I think they could see on film where very seldom. I mean, listen, Notre Dame's really good, so there's times where you just get your butt whipped and on one block or one this or one that. But we hurt ourselves so much we didn't give ourselves a chance to sustain. But the couple of drives we had were long, drives that we had to churn it out, and there's enough on film to where, as a coach, I feel very confident in our players. And I hope they felt the same way after watching it, a little frustrated. I think that's good for you. But it's not, and we've talked about this too, that it's not going to these are really good teams we're playing against, and it's going to be that way the rest of the way. And so we got to execute at a high level or it'll be tough sledding. That's just the facts. But you can't turn it over 6 times and beat anybody. You can't. And our kids get that, and we as coaches get that, and we just got it all out of our system in one game, but I expect us to bounce back and execute well, and But those are things we talk about is like, hey, you go through ups and downs in the season. There's lulls sometimes. How consistent can we be? And this is a team that's learning how to do that. So we want to certainly all get there really fast. We want to score a bunch of points every game. You know, but we can't. There's certain things you can't do and get that accomplished. And so, but I have no reason to believe our guys won't bounce back and play well.
So with regard to the turnovers, the first one on the pitch was credited to Alex because it hit his hands. But in the post-game press conference, Blake kind of took the blame for that because he felt it wasn't a good pitch. He didn't put it right where he was supposed to. It should be going more into Alex's chest area instead of kind of being where he has to reach for it. What did you see there? Did you feel like that was Blake or Alex or?
I don't know. I mean, I think both kids are great kids, so they're going to take responsibility, you know? So, I mean, I don't, maybe we could have taken a little off the pitch. The pitch hit him in a good spot. I mean, you know, it's just one of them things. We got to catch the ball first before we run. And, you know, maybe Blake could have had taken a little bit off of it, but the thing about it was in practice all week, that ball, we ran that play a bunch of times and it was never on the ground, you know? So, I don't know how try to put blame on one guy or the other. I think they both take responsibility and both try to do their job a little bit better.
So usually on those missed fumbles, is that a case where the quarterback decides to pull, but the fullback's already clamped down on the ball?
It can be. I mean, you know, when you're meshing, you know, there's so many reps that go into getting those things right because you're making split-second decisions about whether you're going to give a ball or pull a ball. And if a track is a little bit off, you know, if the quarterback is a little bit indecisive, you know, if the B back bends a little too quickly, all those things are just part of it, right? And so I think that was just the case right there. We probably clamped a little too hard, probably didn't pull it quite hard enough. I think it's both. It's both. I mean, it's hard to look at that and go exactly why that happened. I think when we do the things we do, it's just rep after rep after rep after rep. It's, you know, some of those things, and we do a lot, right? You know, so I got to make sure I'm doing a good enough job of repping the things that require that much skill with the guys, you know, that require that much timing, that require that much being on the same page. And then those kids got to execute. It's all those things. As coaches, we got to make sure we give them enough reps. As kids, they got to execute it when the bullets are flying.
So Blake had a thumb injury and he had it taped or otherwise protected when he dropped the ball while trying to throw from his own goal line. Right after that, he took the tape off. Do you think that caught you? He was having trouble gripping the ball when trying to throw?
I don't know that was necessarily the case. He hadn't had any trouble with it before, so and maybe that's what he thought. Maybe he took the tape off because he felt like that may have been part of the issue. You know, that one I don't 100% know on that. I think the ball I think he just dropped it. Now whether the tape or anything had anything to do with that, you know, that'd be a hard thing for me to answer.
But in your opinion, the thumb is not an issue going forward here?
I don't think so. I think he's doing pretty good. I mean, he was a little sore last week, but I don't see that. I don't think that's a major thing.
And lastly, I mean, he's made such great decisions all season, but that throw to the end zone, that was double. That guy was not open. That was double coverage.
I didn't question the decision because it was fourth down. The throw was off, but I think if he pulls him a little more inside, that he made the right decision about who to throw to. I just didn't think he executed the throw, and he had a little heat on him, you know, when it was happening too. So I don't think it was a bad decision. Just probably just didn't get the ball where our guy had a chance. When it's fourth down like that, you got to put the ball in a place where it gives one of our guys the best chance to get a first down. I just think he missed it a little bit.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll make one more trip around. Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, what is it about Brandon Chapman that makes him such a nice fit as a snipe in this offense?
Well, he can do both. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball. I mean, he runs good routes. He has some elusiveness to him. And honestly, he's just so dang competitive. You know, he's not a very big guy, but he plays he plays like he's a heavier guy, like he's a bigger guy. He plays so hard. He's so much fun to coach because he plays so hard. There's some games where some of the things end up going more to him and some where they don't. He just goes out there and does his job. And when he gets a chance to make plays, most of the time he makes them, so he's just a good football player.
What is it also about his mental makeup that despite the number of touches he gets, it seems like each game he makes a decisive play that makes a difference?
Sure. We want it. And we want to create moments like that for him. I just think he's got some ice water in his veins, and he's a competitive kid, and he thinks he's going to make the play, I think there's a lot of confidence there, but it's not an arrogant deal. I think he just really wants to make plays and wants to compete and wants to be the guy that's called upon, So I think he just kind of is one of those guys.
When you come to a new team like this and you inherit players, when you have a player like that, do you feel blessed that you've inherited a Brandon Chapman?
Sure. I feel blessed by a lot of these guys that fit, what we want to do. But yeah, I mean, to have kids that love football, that love the processes of football, that love to compete, that have a toughness about them, they don't mind being physical, and then they want to be in tough moments where they have to make a play. That's what you want, man. That's you love young men who are wired like that.
Thanks, Coach.
Oh, Miller.
I'm good.
Wags.
Want to ask you a little bit about Cody Howard. I'm going to be writing about him a little bit. You moved him from receiver to tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Has it proven to be are you getting what you wanted out of him when you made that move?
Yes, when he's healthy, he's really, really good tight end. He put the weight on, he got stronger, and he's a physical kid that brings a good skill set to the position because he can run some routes and catch the ball. I think this fits him. Our system at tight end really fits his skill set and his mentality very well.
So against Charlotte, I believe it was Charlotte. He had that. Yeah, it was Charlotte. He had that catch where he spun in. I mean, that was kind of that showed the wide receiver ability there, the run after the catch, I thought.
Absolutely. Heck of a play by a couple kids. I mean, it's an unbelievable play by Blake to get him the ball, and then for him to be able to catch it in space, and really make a guy miss and get into the end zone. Huge play in that game. We really like Cody Howard, like who he is as a person, toughness, discipline, just a football guy. His character, unbelievable young man.
I know you weren't here, but he'd been through some injuries and, some things have kept him off the field. And it was interesting because in the post-game press conference after Charlotte and Cody was there and we asked him a question, and Blake felt, it necessary to pipe in that, this guy's a really tough dude. He's been through stuff a lot of people don't understand and fought through. I'm sure you've heard about this, but I mean, does it feel good to see a guy finally getting a chance to perform as a senior after what he's been through?
Absolutely. No, you don't pull for anybody any harder than you do Cody. We want him out there because he makes us better, and then you want him to have the opportunity because he's worked so hard to overcome a lot of stuff. Right. So, for him to be able to, if he had been like healthy all spring and got, all the reps, like we'd love it and all that, I can't imagine how really good he would be. So it's amazing that he's been able to, when he's healthy out there, play at a high level, without getting that time in the spring and some of that time in the summer, and then missing, the first couple games. Just, I'm sure that kid's frustrated with it, but he just keeps bouncing back. He tougher than me because I'd be so frustrated by this point with all that. I don't know what I'd do. So just steady, tough, kind of you're not going to be denied type mentality. No question.
So Braxton's been able to get into the game a lot, at the end of games once they were, decided, good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's odd. I've gotten some fan emails who said that he looks tentative running the ball. I'm not necessarily seeing that. What is your take on his execution? And I know it's a difficult situation because it's not the typical flow of the game. It's not, it's kind of the end of the game. And I don't want to use the word mop up duty, but that's kind of what it is.
Right.
It's not the same. I mean, you feel good that Braxton can operate this offense if necessary?
Yeah, I do. I mean, being a backup quarterback may be the toughest job on the team in some ways. You got to prepare like a starter. And you never know, when you're going to be ready. And it's hard to mentally and emotionally prepare that way, knowing that you might not play. But he's got to continue to grow up and improve as well. Okay. Just like all our guys do, and make the most of his opportunities when he gets them and grow every day. Just part of the maturing process is knowing that, man, I may not get to play, but I still gotta improve all the time, which is not always easy. So he's done well in practice. We're going to keep coaching him. He has a lot of ability. And at some point he's going to have to help us win a game. It's coming at some point, so hopefully when that time comes, he's able to get out there and perform. And I've seen enough to know that he can, we just, he hadn't had that opportunity yet.
I mean, it's obvious that he and Blake are different quarterbacks in a lot of ways, different body types, different styles, different strengths. Would you call the game a little bit differently if you were, Braxton had to go in at crunch time?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, we're going to run our offense. So I think there's certain things that, in the back of your mind, maybe this kid does a little better than that kid, or, this kid feels more comfortable with this than he does that. So maybe that you're always trying to put them in good situations where you feel like they're going to, be set up for success. So maybe there's a slightly different, but there's going to be a lot of things that we call exactly the same way.